Hey everyone, welcome. We are so excited to have Laurie Hammer with us today. This is so fun because we are actually talking about what every mom wants,
Right?
okay? What every mom wants to be a calm mom. I
Yes.
know there are moments where I am just like, I wish I could be calm right now, but I've got so many things going on. There's so many balls in the air. And especially being a business owner, if you have multiple kids, you're like, everybody wants something
Yes.
from me right now. Husband's like, what's for dinner? You're like, shut up. Right? So,
I might
it's
have said
what's
that
for
this morning.
dinner. Exactly, exactly. So, we're going to talk about that and we're going to talk about how you can get to the place where you're, a calm mom. Taking
Mhm.
that breath. Oh my gosh, I feel good already. And Lori's presence is so amazing. Her energy is so amazing. Her story is so amazing. And how she helps people is in a way that I feel really strongly about in my healing journey and my battle with Crohn's disease and just living with that and just have learning a lot about healing and the body and things like that. I love what she does. So I am
Thank
super
you.
excited to hear from her today and have you guys hear the just some like get a little hope first of all, and then also just to have some to-dos, like some real things that you guys can put into place to be a calm mom, but also guess what, you can help your kids do the same thing, and especially if they wrestle with, ADHD or anxiety, or
Yes.
things that really, really get in the way of learning and their self-image and things like that. So I couldn't be more excited to have Lori on with us today. So Lori, can you share with us a little bit about just what your experience is, your background, maybe a little bit of your story too, because you have to have that. It's so powerful, and why you're helping people today.
Yeah, so I'm a nutritional therapist and I deal with amino acid therapy and the brain. And so my story began in 1996, so a really long time ago. I am now 51. And so I was super, in my early 20s at that time. And I had an eating disorder for it was almost 12 years. And so I tried to get into eating disorder programs. I wasn't suicidal enough. My weight wasn't low enough. Like I didn't fit all the criteria, yet my life was
Does
just
someone
a
tell you you're
mess.
not suicidal enough? Like I
I know you
just,
binge and purge like 8 to 10 times a day and you have seizures and end up in the
oh my
ER, but yet
gosh.
you're still not suicidal enough,
Oh
right?
my
So,
gosh.
and I could answer all the questions like, what are you supposed to weigh? Of course I know what I'm supposed to weigh. I know what I'm supposed to be eating. I know all these things. But I didn't fit their criteria. And so many people fall through the cracks. And I would say a lot of women who come into my office had previous eating disorders, and they may not be actively anorexic or bulimic right now, but they still have a poor relationship with food. They're still struggling with food. They're still struggling with their moods and emotions. And so here we get into, perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause, and we're still dealing with all of the same things. And so my goal is to break that cycle for women so that we can be calm, so we don't feel like we're losing our flipping mind all the time, right? Because we have this outer body experience and we don't want that. And so I found this outpatient treatment program through a friend of mine in Mill Valley, California, and their mantra was you're addicted to what you're allergic to, because they were talking about food cravings. And they also worked with, heroin addicts and cocaine addicts and alcoholics and those kind of things too. But I called out there and I said, hey, this is my situation. They're like, we can help you. Come out here. And so I went out to this outpatient treatment program and I found out I indeed had celiac disease. So everything I binged and purged on was, gluten and dairy, gluten, dairy, sugar, gluten,
Mm.
dairy, sugar. And so I was sensitive to all of those things. And that kept triggering, all these cravings in my body. I had a yeast overgrowth, I had some thyroid issues, adrenal issues, all those things. But the most important thing to help me break that binging and purging cycle was amino acid therapy. So it's the same thing I do with my clients today. We tried some of the amino acids, opened up the capsule, put it under my tongue. I tried tryptophan for my serotonin imbalance going on in my brain, and I thought my brain just came alive. It was like, and so once I started on this amino acid therapy, the craving cycle stopped. Like the binging and purging stopped because my brain was balanced. My brain was nourished. And when your brain is nourished, everything below the neck gets easier to deal with, right? So you want to heal your gut, fix your brain first, calm the brain first, and then we can, work on that gut brain connection after that. If you want to have a better relationship with your husband and your kids, we have to have calm brains. And amino acid therapy is a very easy way to do that. And everything in our body depends on amino acids. So let's just start with the basics, right?
Oh my gosh, I love this. So, we did a couple of episodes with Dr. Robert Malello a while back. If you haven't watched those, go back
Hmm.
and watch or listen to those. But he was talking about that, and I was totally geeking out on it because I absolutely think it's fascinating. Is the
Hmm.
balanced brain with the gut
Yeah.
connection there? And I had never heard that before. And with all, I've been studying natural functional medicine for the last really the last 13 years, and I
Yeah.
never heard that before. And so I think this is transformational information, and it's really something that we really need to take a look at as far as our brain and how it makes total sense. I mean, why
Right.
did we not even think about that? I mean, it's the nervous center of everything, right? So the
Right. We're
messages
top
don't.
down. We're top
Yeah,
down people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Messages don't get sent in the right way, the right place. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. So I totally, that's why I believe in chiropractic so much, because the
Oh,
messages
yes.
being sent in the right places. It just makes sense. But I didn't think about that in terms of the gut healing too. So thinking about all of, how our relationship is with, and I love how you talked about the emotional aspect of it too, because that's so huge. I feel like a lot of times us moms were like either, after we're postpartum or we're pregnant or
Yes.
we're menopausal or we're whatever, our regular hormone imbalance. And I think a lot of women do have, just with our world the
Yes.
way it is and the food, have natural hormone imbalances.
Yes.
So can you speak to that a little bit, and how does that affect us?
Well, and I think we've normalized it. So we've normalized this dysfunction. We're like told to live with it, right? And so I want to shout it from the mountaintops that you don't have to live with that. You don't have to live with the imbalance. You don't have to live with the anxiety, the depression, the ADD, all of that kind of stuff. Like there are things that we can do to help you through that. And so what was your question? I was
Yeah,
just,
no, just what are
it
some of
makes
the
me all
signs?
excited, Cami.
I know, I totally geek out on this too. So, what are some of the signs that we have a hormonal imbalance, and how does that like how does that affect us?
Well, right, PMS is a huge one, right? So if
Yeah.
you have PMS, that's a hormonal imbalance. That's normal. That's not what we need to be living with. We don't have to live with that, right? I had a little young lady in my office. She's 17 and she's like, I have such bad PMS. My period is so bad. Like I've got clotting, I've got this and I got that. And the mom's like, I've had that for, the last 20 years. It's just normal. That's the way our family is. No, it's not. It might be what's normal for your family, but it's not normal, right? And so if you have any of those things, all of these teenage girls are being thrown on birth control and it just messes
Yes.
their hormones up forever and ever, not to mention their brain. Birth control messes up your brain. And so if you have any of those hormonal upheavals, if you have brain fog, a lot of brain fog is hormone related, or it's just a deficiency in the brain. If we balance your brain, that goes away. Your sex drive, let's just be honest, ladies, if you don't have one, there's something going on, right? Or if you're just feeling like that tense, irritable, like white knuckling through every day, you just kind of feel like you have to push through, and it's just anxiety. Everybody has anxiety, so I just have to live with it. That's not things that we have to live with. You don't have to do that. So let's not own it. Let's decide what's going on, what imbalances are there, what deficiencies need to be nourished. Let's nourish those because we're not good at women. We're not, as women, we're not good at nourishing, right? And
Yeah.
we need to start nourishing ourselves really, really well because we need to stop listening to the world that we have to do 87 things, never take a break, get 6 hours of sleep. That's not healthy for us. We need to
Mm-hmm.
take a step back. Things will work out better if we actually have rest, if our brain is balanced, and then you'll be way more productive on the other side of that, and you will achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And maybe when your brain is balanced, you won't want the same things anymore. Your perspective on
Yeah.
life will change.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And I love the way you talked about it not being it's just what is. It's just what's
Yeah.
normal. It's what we do, but it's really not. And that is
Oh,
I mean, I never knew anything like that. I never knew that
yeah.
was even a thing. And so it's really interesting to be thinking about what is really our normal? What is normal? Well, how does that sound, And so so I think that it's really important to to get our idea of normal to be changed first, right? To know that that's it. And we're doing 20,000 things, right? We're, somebody wants this and somebody wants that. And you're talking about nourishing, and we go through, we're getting everybody else. I know I do this. We're getting everybody, which is totally not what I need to do because of my disease, but I get everybody else everything that they need. We're talking about making sure our family's nourished and things like that. And then we're just throwing down stuff, whatever happens while we're trying to make dinner or something because we're starving and we haven't eaten all day. So I totally get that. That is something that is hard to overcome, especially when we're on the move and on the go. So thinking about how that I mean, and it affects our family too, because we are the thermostats in our home. So that totally affects our family. So if kids are dealing with this, how does that manifest in kids?
So kids would be more of the attention deficit type things, ADD, ADHD, but kids get anxiety and depression too. So if you have an
Mm-hmm.
overly anxious kid, most likely there's, a deficiency going on there, and we need to address that. If they're not sleeping well, and that's both for moms and kids, but a lot of kids have a lot of sleep disturbances now that I didn't see 10 years ago. And so that is definitely an imbalance that we could work on, with the brain and those kind of things. Bedwetting is another one. If you have a child that's bedwetting into, well beyond when they should be, that's something that we can address as well. And so there's lots of things going on neurologically that amino acids can help, or even some of the testing that I do. We can dig to those root causes.
Yeah, okay, do it great. I love that. Let's talk about the root causes for a second. So, how do we determine that? What do we look for?
Yeah, so I do comprehensive blood work. I also have a lot of questionnaires that I use. And so in lieu of doing, blood work, urine work, those kind of things. And so we can pinpoint a lot of neurological things just through the paperwork, which is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could spend a lot of money on testing. And there's some very specific tests that I like to do. I mean, but you could spend, five, $6,000 on testing. But, instead we could probably do most of it for under 1,000. So plus the paperwork and stuff. So we know we're looking for these imbalances. We're looking, is it a toxicity issue? Is it a hormone issue? Maybe it's a parasite issue. Maybe it's, a mycotoxin mold issue. So there's lots of different things that we can address. But yeah, we start there. And then if we need more, we do that later.
Yeah, I love that because I'm in a lot of groups, a lot of conversations about those kinds of things. And I know that the mold and the parasite issues they're so scary. They're
They
so
are. They
scary.
are.
And to know that like, okay, it's just us. It's normal, whatever. And we have to go through these, like nobody talks about that. And I hear over, like other countries in Europe and everything, they do it all the time. And we
Yeah.
have just no idea that that's even a thing.
I know, yeah. Like we should do a parasite detox once or twice a year. I mean, it's just normal, right? Our grandparents did, and all they had to do was go out and eat like rhubarb or something, and it flush the parasites out. I mean, that doesn't take care of us now. So, but yeah, other countries it's more prolific, and we've demonized parasites. I mean, there's supposed to be some parasites in us because they live in cohesiveness with us, and then there's others that aren't supposed to be. And if you have an overrun of parasites, that means your body's out of balance. And so if we start killing off the parasites and we don't fix the balance in the body, the parasites will come back. So many people start on the wrong end of the spectrum. So we have to deal
Mm.
with foundations first. So deal with your brain, deal with your gut. Let's get some toxins out, because guess what do parasites like to eat? They like to eat toxins. So if you're toxic and you don't get rid of the toxicity and you try to kill the parasites, you're just like hitting a brick wall, because they're going to come back. They're going to
Oh
grow
my
back.
gosh, that's so huge. I haven't heard that before. I that's so freeing because you constantly, I mean, first of all, nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's like,
Right?
I don't want anyone to know. Don't tell me. Right? So thinking about that is just but I love that. And thinking about in terms of let's get into just the details of how that affects us. So being a calm mom, if we're regulated, so if we're detoxed and we're managing our brain balance system. So how does that bring everything together for us? I know that seems like a weird question, but I feel like I want to know the what are the results of that? How the
Yeah, so
body
let's talk
works.
about the 5 areas that I like to address. So when we're dealing with the brain, I want to deal with these 5 areas. So it's serotonin. So that's like our sunshine. So when serotonin is balanced, you have this like inner happiness. You just feel like, yay, life is fun. Life is good. You can go out and be with people. You're not trying to avoid people, right? So that would be something that would shift for you. If we're talking about GABA, that's our like, take a deep breath and just let it out. So you can just deal with life on life's terms. You can handle the stress better. And then there's also our endorphins, and that's our inner joy. That's where we feel like, you put on the comfy blanket or the comfy sweater, you just feel really good and yummy inside, right? So you're happy, you're joyful, you're calm, you're relaxed. And then we talk about the catecholamines. And when those are balanced, we actually care about life. We have mental energy to expend to other people to get our tasks done. We're not rabbit trailing in every different direction and not getting anything done like somebody with ADD, because you don't have to keep your ADD, right? And so people are like, there's a thing out right now where, and I believe every person with ADD, ADHD is very creative. So please don't get me wrong, but you can be creative and focused at the same time and not have to fight that every single day. That can still be your personality, but your brain can be more directed and more nourished, and you're just going to feel better, right? You're just going to feel better. And then we keep your glucose regular. And when your glucose is regular, you feel grounded. So happy, joyful, focused, stress free, right? Or you respond appropriately to stress, because there's always going to be stress, mamas. There's always going to be stress. And so we can't get rid of it, but how are you going to respond to it? That's the biggest thing. And so that's always my goal. So we just want to be happy, healthy, joyful mamas out there, loving life and just responding appropriately to stress and being mad when it's appropriate to be mad and being happy when it's appropriate to be happy and crying when it's appropriate to cry.
Yeah, and being able to handle, I think just being able to handle that. So when things
Yeah.
come in and just being able to handle that. When you were talking about those things, I feel like, oh, yes. Like I automatically just saying those words just feels so good. And so I totally understand how, when we get so out of balance, and I feel like as moms, that's so much more of how
Yeah.
we are, because we have so many things, and then, not having self-care, not really being in tune with our bodies, and can really manifest in how our kids are relating to us, how they're listening to us, and then how our kids are learning or not, because especially for homeschooling, this is our culture.
It is. Yeah. And we're the heart of the home. So we create the culture, you
And you
know.
homeschooled as well, right?
Oh, yes. Well, I'm done now. My
Yeah.
daughter was 18 and I'm so sad. I loved it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, and so it's really hard, Lori knows this firsthand. Like, it's really hard to have an imbalance in yourself and then feel like you can manage the day without, the kids start, giving you something and you're just like, stop it. I can't handle anymore, right?
Right.
And
Because you don't want to hurt your children. You don't want to leave them in a room somewhere or like, "Ah, I can't handle you today."
exactly, exactly. I've told my son several times, I understand why people can get to this place. Like, we've all been there, right? We've all been there. But so being a calm mom, like, what does that mean to you? What does that mean for, like, if I'm sure you have a lot of patients that you go through and that there's this like, oh my gosh, there's this sigh of relief. What does that mean to you to be a calm mom?
Well, it just means that you can wake up in the morning, you're not dreading the day, right? You're happy when you see your children and you're happy when you see your husband, and you can go, okay, I have these 5 things to do today, and I know I can get them done. But if you don't get them done, the world doesn't come to an end, right? So you're able just to kind of navigate through life and just be, happy and joyful and willing to serve whoever comes along, right? And going, I need to take a time out right now because I need to put my feet up, or I need to go breathe in the bathroom by myself. And you just learn to navigate life well. And at the end of the day, you go to bed, you might be really tired, but you really enjoyed your day. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not emotionally drained, right?
You're
So,
not emotionally drained. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So, in thinking about how we do that, I feel like that can be it's what we all want, but it feels so hard. It feels so impossible. So, what are some practical things that we can do to start? I mean, obviously we can work with you and do testing and all of that. What are some of the things? How do we even know that we need to, and what are the things that we need to do right away?
Right. So, well, one thing, you can download my 5 Calm Mom hacks, And so, that talks about breathing and exercise and just mindset and those kind of things. But one of the biggest things that we always focus on is sleep. So you have to guard your sleep. So if we don't sleep, we don't heal. If we don't sleep, we don't, we can't process things. It's kind of like being drunk. We don't understand in what state we're walking around in all the time as moms from being so sleep deprived, right? Your reflexes are slower, your cognition is slower, you don't make best decisions. So if nothing else, make sure you guard your sleep. And
I
then,
love that.
yeah, and the second thing is get in more protein, right? So if you eat more protein, you're going to eat less garbage. So eat more protein. 80 to 100 grams a day is not too much. So get in your protein because your brain will love you, your hormones will love you. You'll just feel so much better.
I do feel that sometimes when I'm really busy and I'm not making a lot of protein, and especially for
Mm-hmm.
myself, because oftentimes I'm making two dinners,
Yeah.
and so when I run out of food for myself and I don't have time to make any more, and I or don't make time, let's be honest,
Listen,
and
yeah.
and so let's and just I'm making all this stuff and I just kind of eat whatever, and I'm eating the safe foods that I have, but it's not protein forward typically. And then I feel like my body's craving it. I feel like I'm missing something. I can tell
Oh,
that
yeah.
there's
You
something
totally can
missing.
tell. I was actually feeling that today. So I woke up today, and sometimes, hormones will get you, right? And you just feel a little upheaval. And if you're not like, oh, I need to make sure I eat this morning and not wait till 4 hours later. And all of a sudden I was just
Yes.
feeling kind of edgy and stressed. And, my assistant needed this, my husband needed this, my daughter needed this. And all of a sudden I was like, so I took some tryptophan and a little bit of theanine. And I'm like, okay, now what do I need to do? I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten yet today. So a lot of times we just need a nap and a snack. Let's just be
Like
honest.
when we were in kindergarten, right? We
Toddlers
need
are good. What do you give them? You give them a nap and a snack. And us moms, sometimes we need a nap and a snack.
I 100%, I'm all about it. I love that. I love it.
Where you
I,
spend like 15 minutes in the bathroom with the door locked, let's just be honest. Like, where
yeah.
can you go where the kids aren't going to find you, or their dog doesn't want in, or whatever it might be? But you can go and lock the bathroom door and just sit in there and breathe.
And see the
I don't
fingers.
know if you should have your snack in the bathroom,
See
but
the-
yeah, no, you
yeah.
see how you see the things under the
Yeah.
door. Totally.
Yeah, or the mom,
Yeah, no.
exactly. Yeah. I know, and I love this. So let's talk about amino acids. I want, you mentioned that, and this is really a lot of what you do. So tell me about amino acids and where they come from, why we need them, what they do.
Yeah, so amino acids, every single thing in your body needs an amino acid, from your hair to your digestive enzymes to your blood vessels to your bone marrow to your bones, to everything in your body needs amino acids. Otherwise, it can't repair. So half your body is protein, okay? And so we need amino acids in abundance in order to keep us alive, to keep regenerating, to feel well, for our brain, for everything. Amino acid supplements they're plant-based. They're usually fermented, grown on various different plant substances and isolated. So the ones I use are isolated into individual amino acids. So I will use a full spectrum amino acid, but if we're doing therapy, we're going to use serotonin, or we're going to use straight GABA in a therapeutic dose multiple times a day until that brain feels good.
I love that. Okay, so thinking about ways we can get and the ways we naturally get, I mean, we all think of meat, right? We all think
Yes.
of that's what
Yes.
we think of when we think of amino acids. I know that I've read that quinoa has complete amino
Hmm.
acid proteins, and so where can we get those? And is it a specific type? So are we looking for an organic, like I mean, obviously we want that, but is that the preferred only way we can do it, or how does that work?
Yeah. So if you want to just get it from your diet, which I will tell you, you won't be able to heal if you're just doing diet alone, if you're super deficient. So we're in a season in this world that you have to do supplementation. 20 years ago, I mean, I could give you a couple amino acids to give you a really good diet and you were on your way, right? But that's just not the case now. And so, but a diet is really, really important. So a meat-rich diet, a animal-based diet is key because you get complete proteins from animals, you get incomplete proteins from plants. So you can
Hmm.
combine them, which is great. But you want to make sure you're getting some animal protein in your diet. So if you're a vegan vegetarian out there, let's try some eggs, let's try some yogurt, maybe some cottage cheese. If you're open to fish, let's try some fish. So we really want to get in that animal protein because you wouldn't believe how many times, if somebody's like, well, I just don't eat protein. Okay, we start eating protein. They're like, my brain is tingling, like literally tingling because
Wow.
it's waking up because it's getting nourished, right? And so it's really important. Clearly, organic, grass fed, pastured, all those things are going to be optimal. But if you can't afford those things, then please just eat protein. Just go buy the eggs, go buy the ground beef, all those things. Go shop at Oldies, go shop at discount places. It's totally fine. But get that protein in.
Yeah, I love that. And we think about, like a keto, everybody's so popular. It's not as quite as popular, I think, as it used to be, but that is it, but we're looking for weight loss, but we're looking for that, and then we're, oh wait, now we're missing all the minerals and we're missing all the vegetable, like we're missing that part too. So wait, we got to go back and we got to balance. And so what I've learned about nutrition is that it's not a one hit wonder, and
No.
it's also not it our food system, like you said, is so damaged that
Yes.
there's no we are deficient no
We
matter
are
how good our
deficient,
diet.
and
Yeah.
I believe in diet variation. So,
Yeah.
have a carnivore day, have a keto day, have a vegan day. I don't really care. Just vary your diet. Fast 2 days a week and intermittent fast, and have a feast day. I teach my clients how to do diet variation really well because that's where your body thrives. We're not meant to eat the same thing, drink the same thing, do the same thing all the time. It's kind of like doing the same arm curls all the time. You're not going to get anywhere, right? So you have to do variation in your diet just like you would in your exercise and other things in your life.
This is just something I was thinking about based on what you said about the diet variation, because I have a very limited diet. I have like 20 safe foods, and so the how
Yeah.
you can combine those things in a way. But I wonder if I'm just thinking out loud here, but if the body, if you have the similar diet all the time, if your body adjusts to it and doesn't absorb as much, maybe? Or no?
I don't know that there's any research to
Okay.
really say that. I just think,
Okay.
you just start missing some things, right?
Right.
And that's where the variation comes in. Maybe if you only have 20 safe foods, right? Well, then let's incorporate some fasting. Let's just do some things just to switch up your
That
digestion,
makes
your
sense. Yeah.
eating. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just to because your body likes that. It's called hormesis. It's a hormetic stress. And our body really likes hormetic stress, but we don't want to overdo it and we also don't want to underdo it. So it's just finding that balance for each person.
Yeah, and that's really
Yeah.
natural. I mean, when you think about when we didn't have grocery stores and things, you
Yeah.
ate when things were available. And if you ever read Little House on the Prairie, you know that they
Exactly.
had like a couple months where they only ate potatoes, and then they had,
Right.
a feast of everything, all when everything was plentiful
Yes.
and things like that. So it's really something that our bodies were,
We're
accustomed
designed for
to.
the variation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's so important. I love that. So what would you do? What would you say to moms who are really struggling, who are really out of balance and just feeling frustrated and want to be the calm mom? What is the first step? What do we need to do first?
Well, I mean, work with me. Do join my Call Mom
Absolutely.
Academy, because
Absolutely.
it'll be a group of women, a group of mamas, all in the same boat. So that'll be really fun. And we have a great time in there. So you're going to learn, how to eat the best you can possibly eat. We teach diet variation and fasting, and we do the amino acid therapy. So that I feel like that's a really good place to start, of course, because I created it.
Absolutely.
Um,
I feel like it is too.
yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of fun. That's my goal is just to love on all you mamas out there so that you can thrive and that our kids thrive because it's just this ripple effect. So if mama's happy, everybody else, it trickles over. You can't have a bad day. The dog is even upset when you're upset. Let's just be honest. So,
Yeah,
I
they can
want to
feel
create
it
that
too.
ripple effect with all these calm moms out there.
Absolutely. And this is something we often do for our kids. Like, well, our kids will make sure our kids are regulated, but we don't, we'll do that before we do ourselves.
Right.
And we kind of have that backwards because we can't help it's like putting
You
on
have
the
to put your
mask
own
in the
mask on
airplane.
first, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, that's something where we can get our thinking, changed about that and turn it over on our heads that we are helping our kids when we invest in ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's so important to think about and I know that I found just being in tune with what's happening. So like taking a step back and just being real present, being
Hmm.
like, that was weird. Didn't mean to
Yeah,
say it
it's a
like
good
that.
example, right? It's a good
Yeah.
example for our kids so that they can go, oh, this is what mom does. So they're going to mimic what we do. So what example are we setting up for them?
Yeah. And then feeling out of balance or feeling that way and then doing something about it, right?
Yes.
Seeking help,
Yes.
changing something, getting mentoring, whatever the case. I'm all about that. I've gotten mentored in every area of my life for
Me too.
almost my entire life. And it is something that I feel very strongly about, that we can't get to where we want to go with the same thinking we have. So we have to
Exactly.
seek out new information and then take immediate action. And I think that for us, seeking out what's good for us. I mean, it's almost like we die on the hill, right? We
Hmm.
martyr ourselves by
Oh,
look
yeah.
how ragged I am, look how
You won't
whatever.
believe what because we love the drama, we love
Yeah.
the chaos and stuff. And but once your brain is balanced, you're like, I don't do drama. I don't
Exactly.
do drama. We had a certain situation in our life, and there's this family and this mom, and she's like, we just have so much drama in our house. And I was sitting across the table from her. I'm like, I don't understand that because we really don't do drama. So I'm just not dealing well with you right now. So
Right. I do
because
not
we don't
relate.
have drama here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not relatable. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
getting out of that place where we're feeling like we have to be martyred in this way of like the more
Yes.
ragged we are, the better mom we are, which is actually the opposite. So,
It is. Yeah.
yeah. I love
We
this,
need to
Lori.
stop
Thank
that lie.
Yeah, yeah, we can stop that live for sure. Oh my gosh, it's such a great conversation. So tell me, first of all, you mentioned the 5 hacks
Five
for
Calm Mom hacks you can
five calm
download
mom
for free.
hacks.
Yep.
Yes, we can download. That's in the show notes. It's going to be in the comments of every post we have. It's everywhere are watching this or listening to this. And don't be afraid to reach out to Lori. Like I said,
Exactly. Yeah. Just send me a message on
yeah.
Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. Go to my website, schedule a free call with me, whatever you want to do. So reach out to me. I really do want to hear from all of you.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. I'm like, just call me. Just
Yeah.
send me a
Yeah.
message.
I do. I love the chats. I
I do
love to
too.
have the chats in the DMs because, people are hurting and we need
Yes.
to come together. And when I was a young mom and stuff, I mean, I had a couple of people that I could turn to, but it wasn't like this huge community. And I didn't have like a lot of older people that could come alongside and say, we need to change this. This is not
Yeah,
okay. Like, we can fix this. And I want to be that. I want to be that for all you,
absolutely.
all the mamas out there because we don't have to live like this.
No, and I feel so strongly that definitely we need to make sure that the mamas are good and that we are being a good example. That is exactly what I teach all
Yes.
the time. So being a good example for our kids is everything. So thank you so much, Lori, for helping us
You.
and sharing your wisdom with us and investing in us today. And I know I learned some too. And
Good.
it's always an eye-opening experience. And I love the way that you think about, the body and how we react with things in the world and how we feel about ourselves and all of that being connected with a brain balance and being able to actually fix that. We have hope. I mean, it's so
Yeah, that's
amazing.
where we're hope givers. That's the goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, you guys, this has been so great. I encourage you to reach out to Lori, get that PDF, that Calm Mom hacks,
Yep.
and definitely start to look at where you want to feel better and how you want to feel better. And I know you can do this. We both believe in you,
Yes.
and definitely, I will see you guys next week. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.